Hey guys! No warning for this video, so we can get right to it. Emmett's tutorial, played by my friend Mags. Now, Emmett Derringer is a curious case because he is a character with the amnesia flaw, which we should all know that I greedily snatched up with delight in my GM claws. But yes, Emmett is an amnesiac and only remembers 3 things. His name is Emmett Derringer, or Derringer. I never really learned how to pronounce it, so it'll probably flip back and forth. And 2, he woke up in an abandoned basement with weird text on the walls and scars all over his body. 3, he feels like he has memories of a boy, someone he knew and that was important to him. But that's it. And Emmett has never really concerned himself with this fact, as he went about living life and getting a job as a mechanic and renting a real cheap apartment. And joining in on underground fighting pits that were held after hours at his mechanic shop? Yeah. He just assumed that the memories would come back to him someday, especially if it all happened in this area that he woke up in. Something was bound to happen and come back to him. But he went about living like this for a couple of years with nothing happening, not a single memory coming back. Soon he stopped thinking about it and just lived. Until one day, something weird began to happen. It started as just any other day. He got up in his small apartment, he had some Pop-Tarts, and headed to work. But as he walked across the street, he suddenly heard a voice whisper to him, "There's a car coming." Emmett's head snapped up and he jumped back just in time to not get hit by a car. He looked around to try and find the source of the voice, but there was no one near him. He shook it off as just mishearing it. It couldn't have been a whisper near him, it had to be someone yelling for him. Thinking that, he yelled out a "thank you" into the open air towards some distant people and continued on towards work. Nothing weird happened at work, it all went on as usual. It wasn't until that night that it happened again. Emmett had joined in for some secret fighting pits among the mechanics of the town, getting in the makeshift ring and throwing some punches with a fellow worker. Usually, Emmett holds his ground fairly well, but he was finding this fight to actually be difficult. He was losing. But then it happened again. He heard a voice whisper to him, telling him to duck and then aim for his ribs. Emmett immediately listened and ducked down away from a punch and slammed his own hit into the man's torso, knocking him back and out of the ring. People cheered as Emmett won, but he was looking around to try and find the source of the voice, only to see no one. Emmett got his earnings and then quickly walked home. During his walk, he looked into his mind and said, "Thank you for the help back there." And there was a long pause. But then he heard that voice again, as it said, "You're welcome." The voice was in his head. Great, cool, as if he didn't have enough head problems. Emmett groaned at first, but then shook it off and immediately perked up. The voice didn't seem to want to harm him or to make him do anything. It seemed like a pretty chill dude in his book, so he just guessed he should welcome it. He tried to talk with it more when he got home, but found that the voice couldn't communicate so easily. Apparently it was hard to do. Even more apparently, this voice has been in his mind for years, but was only just now able to get thoughts through to Emmett. What the fuck? Emmett doesn't get freaked out by this, actually. Instead, just rolling with the punches and accepting this. Again, the voice sounded like a chill dude. So Emmett asks what their name is. But the voice isn't able to remember, and they're losing strength now. It's time to rest. Which Emmett agrees with and tells him, "Alright, I'll go to bed and I'll think of a name to call you. Good night, buddy." And so he sleeps. The next day he wakes up and says good morning to the voice, but he hears nothing back. So he just goes about his normal routine. Out of bed, Pop-Tarts in mouth, out the door to walk to work. But as he walks, the voice warns him again. Not of a car this time. No, but of someone following him. Emmett looks behind him and sees an oddly large person speed walking towards him. Emmett begins to speed walk himself and tries to lose him, but sees the odd man keeps up with him. So Emmett breaks into a sprint and runs around a corner into an alleyway, where he runs right into the large person. Emmett is like, what the fuck? And is ready to fight, but freezes as he sees this dude, large and blue? Slicked back hair and horns and a tail. A demon. This demon then begins to talk as if he knows Emmett, saying, "There you are, man. Man, you're a tricky one to find. Fast, too. Come on, it's time," he says casually as he begins to draw something on the wall. Emmett looks at him confused and asks what he's talking about, not sure what to do and not hearing anything from the voice. The demon just looks at Emmett as he finishes this weird circle of text on the wall. Designs that look familiar. And the demon just says, "It's time for your side of the deal, buddy," and grabs Emmett, throwing him through the wall. But Emmett doesn't hit brick or stone. No. He goes right through the wall. A portal there now. Landing in dark water and just hearing the demon say, "Be polite to the boss," as it waves and the portal closes. Emmett gets up and finds himself in a weird dead forest. Dark water running over the ground in thin streams, connecting like a spider web weaved around the trees. He tries to ask the voice if he knows anything about this, and the voice responds saying that they don't know, but they feel like Emmett should walk. So Emmett walks, and soon he comes to a pure white tree, thin and spindly, no leaves or anything on the branches. Nothing except for a golden apple. And this is when Mags, the player, says, "I'm gonna do something stupid." And she has Emmett go up to the tree and take the apple. Which is just what I wanted. As Emmett is then transported, the environment around him being sucked around him and vanishing into the apple as if it were a vacuum. No longer was he in a dead forest, no. He was now stood in an office. A simple square office with an armchair behind him. The walls made of bookshelves that went on and on forever above him. He couldn't see a ceiling. Then he sees a paper float down and he hears a voice say, "Ah, Emmett Derringer, there you are. I'm glad you made it." And he looks to see a lilac-colored demon. He immediately asks her who she is, and she quirks an eyebrow. She keeps a polite smile on her face, but her eyes are clearly unamused. She asks him if he truly does not remember her, to which Emmett says that he actually doesn't remember a lot of things. Ma'am, he woke up in a basement. Her eyes narrow and she looks over him. Or, no, not over him, but through him, reading him inside. And then she gets a look of realization on her face. Emmett rolls an empathy check and is able to gather that she has seen something. Something unexpected has happened, but she smiles and brushes it off, and simply goes about informing him, "I see. Well, it appears that maybe our deal was too powerful for you, and has caused you to lose your memories. My apologies for that. Let me grant you a refresher." And so she holds out her hand, and Emmett takes it. And that's when a short burst of memories go through him. He's been here before. He's purposely came here before and has shaken her hand just like this before. He made a deal with her, and it was after that deal that he woke up in that basement. That scrawling on the wall was him contacting her. The why never comes to him as his vision returns to the present and she takes back her hand with a smile, informing him, "I am Lilith, and you made a deal with me. I'm calling upon you now to fulfill your part of the deal. Which makes Emmett just, pause like, Lilith? Like, the Lilith? Yes, that Lilith. So, Emmett clears his throat and awkwardly asks, right, and what was the deal again exactly? What did I ask for? Lilith kept her eyes steady and her smile pleasant as she informed him, Dear Emmett, you asked me for a soul. Emmett stood there in shock, and it took a long moment of silence before he opened his mouth and... Now, we are about to move on to details of my deal with dear Emmett, and I don't appreciate prying eyes. No, we can't have you seeing this yet. Let us just skip in time, shall we? We find ourselves back in the scene of Lilith's office. A pleased smile on her face, and Emmett just uncomfortable and looking down nervously. She only comments, This is well timed, actually. And before Emmett can ask her what she means, a knock comes to the door of her office. She welcomes the person in, and in walks Kadir. Kadir stops as he sees Emmett. Immediately he looks at Lilith with suspicion and asks, What is he doing here? Are you making a deal with him, Lilith? To which Lilith just brushes him off and tells him that no, she isn't making a deal with him. Well, maybe a deal to not kill him since he stumbled upon her office, but look, isn't this such a wonderful timing? Now he can join you. And Kadir is taken aback by this, asking a flat, What? Which Lilith simply explains that, well, you are the leader of a division that takes in people like him, aren't you? He is an unfortunate soul that was brought here by unfortunate circumstances, and he has seen too much now, so he should join you, shouldn't he? Or I could kill him, or make him an imp in my domain, and Kadir quickly interrupts, saying, No, fine. He sighs and then walks up to Emmett, asking him if he's hurt, which Emmett meekly says no. And then Kadir asks how he got here. And Emmett says that he was taken by people that tried to kill him and sacrifice him, and he just ended up here. Now, you'd expect him to have to make a deception roll, right? Well, Emmett doesn't. Not as a single small glow comes from under his shirt. And Kadir just believes him. No roll needed. From there, Kadir tells Lilith that they'll have their meeting later. Lino is meeting with Adelaide now, and he needs to get back. Lilith just smiles and nods, telling him that can be arranged. And Kadir then quickly escorts Emmett out of the office and out of, well, a place that Emmett doesn't recognize, a place full of demons and other entities, but a place you all will recognize as the Plateau. From there, Emmett is brought to the Atlantis base, inducted under the combat specialists of the division. And he joins the group. Well, he joins Team B, anyways. We'll see what he and Alora get into some other time. For now, we'll end it here. I hope you all enjoyed, and I can't wait to show you what all unravels with these two new characters. Next episode, we will return to Team A. Specifically, we'll be focusing on Adelaide and what the fuck she was doing during the Babadook events. But, until then, keep your heads above water. Bye!